We live?
If I went
We're live, okay. Hey, everybody, thank you for participating tonight in our Park and Rec meeting, February 7th. We do have a very busy agenda tonight, so I would ask that everybody can be as concise as possible. That would be great to allow adequate time for questions and answers. With that, we'll start with roll call.
Susan Leoni, Francesca Segales,
George Bennington, Doug Murphy, Keith Ritchie.
Lindsay Heron,
Thanks, Lee. We have some people on. Tim, I think, is Jake on?
Jake will be, he said.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have more. Okay, great. So we can proceed. Next will be the approval of the minutes from the January 10th, 2024 meeting. Your motion to approve. Thank you, Francesca. Second. Doug, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Okay. Doug Carriage is running late on a train, so we are going to move on to the next one, which is Boy Scouts Rocket and Ice Cream. Sean, welcome.
Thank you. The prepared speech is 3 minutes. You want me to cut that down?
It's
Is that too long? Is that too long?
no, go ahead.
Okay. I'm happy to if you're pressed for time.
I think you should start, Sean.
Okay.
Two glitches with this program tonight.
Okay. All right. So
Sharing screens is one of them.
there was a slideshow, but I'll just go with the verbal. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here tonight. Sean Gelston, Cub Master of Pack 70 and Town Coordinator for Scouting in New Canaan. Purpose here this evening is to seek your blessing for the use of Waveney Park by the Cub Scouts for the 4th year in a row for the Rockets and Ice Cream Social. As in prior years, we're requesting permission to launch model rockets at the southern clearing of the park. We would like this time to use the park twice. First for a volunteers only practice event on May 7th, and then for the public event on June 4th, rain date June 5th. All mentioned dates have already been cleared by the Parks and Rec Department. The event would be co-hosted by the town's Cub Scouts, all 3 packs, open to public, free of charge, ice cream is free, attendance expected between 120 and 250 people, 40 to 50 launches over the span of an hour. And the event site is comfortably distant from traffic, pedestrian areas, sporting activities, the manor itself, let alone any residential properties. Launches are aimed into the golf driving range with the tenders positioned at the northeast corner of the area, between the tall meadows. New Canaan, importantly, New Canaan scouting leaders take safety seriously, as we want first and foremost to protect the attenders of the event, but also to protect the town, our scouting organization, and of course, the privilege to continue hosting this event in the future. So we follow the National Association. Oh, excellent. If you could go forward. Keep going. Right here, there. So we follow the National Association of Rocketry's safety code. We require launch volunteers to be legal adults. We use safety barriers to keep attenders away from launch pads. And I should say, you can continue. The track record of model rocketry is, frankly, it's impeccable. There has never been a single fatality in this hobby involving certified manufacturer's equipment, which is only what we use. And our event has a clean safety record as well. 3 years, 0 injuries, and beyond safety, we have consistently lived up to Scouting's leave no trace principles when vacating the site. So finally, you should know that the event is covered by the local Scouting Council's $10 million insurance policy, as well as the NAR's $4 million member policy. So why greenlight this activity at the park? Well, number one, the safety practices and track record insurance you just heard should give you, commission members, the peace of mind that you need and deserve. Number two, between its ice cream, the Rockets, the Corny MC, the crowd of attenders, this event contributes to the vibrancy of our beloved town. And three, with a multi-decade boom in the space industry in front of us, so the career opportunities and workforce needs that come with that, we do a service to our local youth and to society at large by planting the seeds of space careers at an event just like this. And lastly, it benefits the worthy program that is scouting. The Rocket Social being the main recruitment event for the Cub Scouts. But I'll also highlight that with sports and other program activities vying for youth time and attention like never before, scouting really needs a unique and dazzling event like the Rocket Social to set itself apart from that fierce competition. So in light of that, I'll just say the scouting community is grateful for the past and future use of the town's resources for its activities. I'll take questions.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the commission? Sure.
You said that it's May 7th and June 4th?
2 events, yeah.
Okay,
We'll do a
so no,
practice run.
just,
June 4th, but there's a practice run. That's the main event.
The main event is June 4th.
Okay, so the practice run is May
Yeah.
7th.
Yeah, that's what we're asking for. That is new.
And the practice run will have the ice cream also?
No.
No.
No, and it won't have the public guests. It'll just be the volunteers that are involved in the whole procedure of launching rockets. We have every year we have a few people that are new to this. So you want to give them instruction and give a chance to try it out without the crowd so that everything goes smoothly at the actual event.
So practice is going to take place where the event happens in that golf field?
Yes, at the Southern Clearing.
Any other questions? Move to a vote. Is there a motion to approve? Steve, is there a second? Susan, thank you. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Opposed? So carries. And Tim, you approved, correct? Did you approve?
Yes, correct, George.
And Jake, are you on yet? Okay, well, we have a majority, so it carries. Fantastic. Have a wonderful event.
Thank
Come by and check it out. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Come by and see it.
Yep, absolutely. Wish I had that when I was a scout. Next on the event agenda is proposal for the Waveney Arts Festival at Waveney on October 6th. Hillary Whitman, are you here?
She's on.
There she is.
Yes, I am.
How are you? Good evening.
Hi. Thank you. I had shared a document just with a little recap, which I don't know if you have hard copies of that or are able to share it.
Okay, yes, they do have, you do have it in the packet there.
Okay, great.
Front and back, the last page.
Great. So we are seeking approval to repeat our Waveney Park Arts Festival, which we did for the first time last fall and was just a great success. It was relatively turnkey event that the whole community loved. We had an amazing turnout and are looking to repeat the event again and expand it a little bit. So basically, we're looking at doing the Arts Festival on Sunday, October 6th, which is, you know, the same time frame that we did this last year. It would be from 10 to 4. And the elements of this would be artists and artisans from the area would be exhibiting, setting up 10 by 10 displays in the area in front of the carriage barn up to the Powerhouse Theater parking area. And we're hoping this year to also expand into that sort of parking circle just above the Powerhouse parking area near the entrance to the sort of new patio and the Peony Walk. So we would curate the artists that are participating, and all of them again would sign a liability release form. The carriage barn would file an event permit with the town of New Canaan and provide an insurance rider for the day of the event. Once again, the carriage barn would produce directional signage for all attendees and parking. We worked closely with John to just coordinate anything else, and his crew was really helpful with helping us set up the stage for the band and the performers the day before the event. But beyond that, it really doesn't require, additional work, from the Parks and Rec Department, I believe. So it was really staffed by our volunteers, Carriage Barn members. We partnered with some other nonprofit organizations to be a part of this and give them the opportunity to sort of promote what they do and highlight and participate in the event. Any garbage generated from the event was handled by the Carriage Barn's dumpster. The restrooms were used at the Carriage Barn and in the Powerhouse Theater. And just looking to the second page of the event, and I don't know if any of you were able to attend last year, but just to give, a quick little recap of what we did last year. We had easily 1,000 people attend through the day. We lucked out with just a beautiful day. Lots of families, but really attracted people of all ages to come and meet the artists, but also, we had entertainment throughout the day with live bands. We had puppet performance. We had a group of performers from the Town Players Next Door performed a little preview of their upcoming event. We had free arts and crafts activities for kids in front of the Carriage Barn. And then, as I said, other, nonprofits were a part of this. So we just are very excited to do it again and hoping that we can expand and use that additional space. So I know that would probably require having some of those vehicles that are usually parked there on the weekend moved, but it sounded like that was, from John, like that was doable if we arrange for it.
That won't be a problem.
Great. Thank you, Hillary. It's, glad it was such a success last year. I know it took a lot of work to get this off the ground too.
Yes, it was great to see just the response, the incredible response from the community and how excited people were to come out into the park and have something like that going on.
Fantastic. Are there any other questions from the members of the commission? Keith?
Just one, have you coordinated with the Powerhouse so that, it fits in with their schedule?
Yes, I mean, they know that we have this tentative date, and I think as soon as they know more about what they'll have going on, they'll definitely be a part of it.
Okay. There, any other questions? Is there a motion to accept this proposal for the use of Waveney for the October 6th Arts Fest? Thank you, Francesca. Is there a second? Lindsay, thank you. All those in favor? Tim, how do you vote? Okay, thank you. Opposed? So is carries. Hillary, great job, and we
Great.
wish you all the success with this event.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the proposal for caffeine carburetors at Waveney Park on October 20th. Matt and Claire.
Yeah.
All right, how are you?
I'm Claire Drexler. I am here to represent Caffeine Carburetors along with Matt Constor on behalf of Doug Zimbach. We are requesting use of Waveney Park for our event on June 2nd and October 20th. That's Sunday morning from 8 to 11 a.m. So I have already had some initial conversations with John about this, in addition to our broader conversations with the town, the police force, CERT and others regarding the event. And before we get into your questions, I would like to address some potential concerns, as I know that there have been some around using the park in the spring in the past. So the first is I have a check with me here today as a show or symbol of good faith from Doug Zimbach. He's willing to personally cover any maintenance that is required following the event with respect to the lawns, as we do use some of them to park the cars. In addition, my understanding is that the pool, the Steve Benko pool, opens the weekend before, over Memorial Day weekend. Just looking at the schedule, I don't expect this to be a major issue, just given the seasonality, it's early in the season. The pool, I understand it opens around 11 a.m., which is around the same time our event wraps up. However, we will also be directing specific volunteer efforts towards managing the flow of traffic in order to ensure that any mom like myself or person that wants to access the pool right when they opens is able to do so. Other things that we've already discussed based on some potential concerns are parking. We will be shifting our parking map away from the house. Matt can address that specifically if you guys have any specific concerns. But that should, potentially alleviate any issues that might arise or be raised by a future event, such as a wedding the following weekend. So those are some of the things that I wanted to address from an operational perspective. But one of the things that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about is one of the changes that we're making to Kathleen Carburetors this year. So the event is grown to a size where we're now able to leverage it in a way where we can give back specifically to New Canaan nonprofits. So this year, we are going to be charging a registration fee for every single car that attends, and 100% of the proceeds of both events at Waveney will be directed towards the Waveney Park Conservancy. So Michelle and I have already been talking about this, and while her board hasn't gone through it in specific detail, I believe that there's some initial enthusiasm around the fundraising potential at this event. Across both events, we have the potential to raise anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 or potentially more that will go directly towards projects, basically going directly back into Waveney through the Conservancy. So our event alone in October raised $3,300, and that's without even having the show. So we were really excited to be able to give back to the park last year and hope to do so again this year. And then finally, I would just like to say that I believe the track record of Kathleen Carburetors speaks for itself. I grew up in New Canaan. I love Waveney. Doug considers himself a steward of the park. And, we have absolutely no problem canceling the event. If conditions require it. We actually did so with the October show proactively before we were told to. So we're very familiar and comfortable with that process. And, we can guarantee that we'll always put Waveney first in that way. So thank you.
Quick point of clarification. We cannot vote on June tonight. It has to be a
Okay.
separate line item. If you want to come back to us in March with a June proposal, you can do that, but all we can vote on tonight is October 20th.
May I ask why?
It's the June date has been filled with a lot of issues that we've heard from the town. Those issues need to be resolved before they come back to us. Okay, there's a lot of opposition based on concerns of the field that time of year with the weather and whatnot. So we cannot vote on June tonight. Period. We can vote on October,
Okay,
20th, but not June. Okay, I am, by the way, thrilled to hear about the partnership with Waveney Conservancy. I think we all agree that this is a great event, but the springtime is fraught with a lot of issues. And if you'd like to come back to us in March and talk about June, we'll certainly put you on the agenda. But I think there's a number of issues that need to be discussed and vetted and agreed upon before we can do that. And
I absolutely hear that concern. However, from our perspective, we will probably not be able to put a June show together if it is not voted on tonight. And I know I would be disappointed if we weren't able to, have that event. I think there's a lot of fundraising potential here for the Conservancy. I would request that potentially could we vote on it tonight with specific conditions that need to be met in order to have the June event. And they're just from a logistics perspective, it would be almost impossible for us to put together.
the answer, I'm afraid we cannot vote on tonight. Okay. If, however, after discussions with the town, you all come to an agreement, okay, we can call a special meeting.
Okay,
Okay, to look at that. Okay.
Okay.
But again, there's been considerable pushback on the June date. No issues with October. We appreciate what you're doing, but again, there have been
fair
those
enough.
issues have to be resolved. And if those issues can get resolved, let us know. We can put together a special meeting. We usually do that via Zoom.
Okay,
If that needs to be the case.
Absolutely, and I'd really appreciate the opportunity
Sure.
to do that.
So, are there any questions? Okay,
I wanna, you mentioned the amounts, I wasn't certain if I heard 40 to 60,000 or 4 to 6,000.
40 to 60,000 across both events. So with a single event, we have the potential to raise anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. That's because we're going to be charging each car that comes anywhere from $20 to $25 as a registration fee. And 100% of those proceeds will go directly to the Conservancy, and the logistics of that Michelle and I will be working out in coming weeks.
okay. Are there any other questions, members of the commission? Thank
If the June date isn't possible, is there another date past June that, is possible?
There are 2 other dates in June, that my understanding do not have a event already scheduled. Those are June 23rd and June 30th, and we would be happy to host the event on either of those dates as well.
Discuss it. Yeah, let's get all the details
Yeah.
worked out. And if, there's consensus on that, we can have a special meeting.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good.
Do we then want to vote on October?
Yeah, we're just here to vote on October 20th. You had a question, Doug?
No, I was just curious, do you have any idea of how many people that are involved in the event actually are from New Canaan? Or is it primarily outside of New Canaan? Just curious.
No, it's a great question, and I know that there are a lot of out-of-towners that come to the event. I also see quite a number of familiar faces when I'm there, so I would say it probably depends on each event, but I know I have tons of friends that go, and tons of my parents' friends that go, so yeah, we don't like keep a we haven't charged a risk registration fee in the past, so we haven't sort of maintained that database, and we don't charge people to come, so it's difficult to say exactly where they're coming from.
If I could add to.
Yeah.
Claire's, I mean, I think the idea of introducing this registration will give you the ability to answer those questions after
Yeah.
the cycle, which would be great data to have.
Absolutely.
I would say a good percentage is Fairfield County. I would
Yeah.
say, there's a lot of cars hidden in garages in this town that nobody's aware of. So, and there's a very strong car group that doesn't exist, that exists. So.
I think we're very supportive. It just has to be managed correctly.
Of course, and we're willing to do whatever it takes in order to meet those obligations. Like I said, we absolutely love the park. We're so lucky to have it, and we want to take good care of it.
Any other? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the Kathleen Carver's for October 20th, 2024? Motion. Thanks, Pete. Second, Mike, whatever. All those in favor? Thumbs up. Opposed? Okay, so carries. Thank you very much. And again, where everybody stands about June.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
No
Thank
problem. Thank you. Okay. Has Doug Harris has not arrived yet. Okay. So we will go on to
Try to make the most.
the Nature Center yearly update. Bill Flynn, welcome.
Hi, everybody. We're gonna see if I can share my screen. Hey, look at that. All right. So John was wrong. He does not have any problems with this technology.
I do. That's why, that's everybody share right now, so I don't know how to stop that.
So thanks for having me. According to my notes, I was here almost a year ago to the date, so this is my annual update. Since the New Canaan Nature Center is in a town park, we operate in Bliss Park, if you look at the historic records. And this partnership has been going on since 1960 with our nonprofit, the New Canaan Nature Center Association Incorporated, and the town of New Canaan. Doug came by last week. We did a walkthrough. I kind of gave more detailed updates. So at any point, if I'm not elaborating on things you thought were interesting, please just interrupt me and so I can elaborate on.
And just to mention too, as Bill goes through all this, it's overwhelming. So if any of the commissioners want to do a tour with Bill,
Oh,
he
yeah.
is happy to do that. I'll set it up, just, shoot me an email or something like that. But it's amazing when you go through it step by step, and see the amount of projects that are actually going on, that have been completed, that will be completed, and that have yet to be started, so.
That was, so those, I gave each person a stack of 3 papers, and one of them was just our own internal, for our own land management committee, was all the work we did last year and the work upcoming this year. So that is an internal document I thought you all would find interesting of all the things going on. So hopefully that helps a little bit with what Judd was talking about. And anytime you want a tour going by, it gets me out of the office and I get to wander around and blab about the nature center for a while. So I like doing it. So please go. I always start with our governing documents, and that is on purpose. Just so that everyone always understands how this relationship came to be. So, first, Susan Dwight Bliss deeded all, or 40 acres of her estate to the town of New Canaan for purposes of a nature center, arboretum, bird sanctuary, passive recreation, or related purposes, or a museum site. Within that first year that it was created, they designated the New Canaan Nature Center Association, which was created in response to that, as the designated agent to fill that deed. So that's why our organization and town have been working together that long. And then there's a letter agreement that was created in 1960. It was updated in 1970, and all of that agreement is right there. So if you're curious about the details of that, I'm happy to provide them for you at any time. That's where the relationship starts. Because people always ask, why is town paying for certain things in the nature center? Town owns the entire park, all the buildings. We just show them the computers and the furniture. Snapshot of our fiscal year runs July 1 through June 30th, so this is the last full fiscal year. If you look, the biggest section of our revenues are preschool, followed by our summer camp. That's the blue going into the red. Environmental education, which includes our after-school program that was started this is our 3rd year. Dr. Lutzy requested that we look into that and start an after-school program based on needs, and they actually are bused straight from Southwest and East schools. Donations and grants is 17%, that green section, and the rest are our events and fundraisers. We bring in about $2 million a year in revenue, and this year is a little bit higher because last year we still had some COVID relief in the forms of daycare relief from the state, and also the ARPA funds that were dished out by town. So a little bit inflated last year just due to those 2 things. So yeah, any questions about how we make our money? One of the papers I just done 3 presentations for Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, and Town Council. And I just prepared a lot of things. One of them lists over the last 5 years, all of the capital improvements that we've done on property. Also, our annual maintenance with our staff member we hire, and also we contract out Larry Wiener Associates for the land management portion, and also Pennington Gray, which is new this year, which just focuses on down the driveway. And that was a new focus this year we had of just beautifying the gardens and maintaining that area. And then it totals that all up. So again, a lot of people ask, of the funds that go into our preschool, what do we do with those? And we wanted to show what we put back into the plant and the park, and as far as maintenance goes as well. Again, just stop me if you have any questions. So the big things we did last year, as I said, beautification down the driveway. Pennington Gray, the company, he used to work for Larry Wiener Associates, and he is an expert in native fields planting. They're out of Philadelphia. So we were happy to work with him because he really likes working with us with how we want to manage our property. And that's as naturally as we can. And so also the driveway is the front face of the nature center. And as people come down, we want it to be very inviting and pretty and look nice. And then we kind of have our back 26 acres, which is our natural habitat. So there really are 2 different plans of how we manage that, all with the same philosophies of native plantings and doing everything as naturally as possible. Habitat restoration continues. We have a lot of native fields that we are eradicating invasives and putting natives back in. one of the strategies last year was, we used goats just like they did at Irwin. We brought them in, not only because people just like visiting goats, but, also as a strategy of not using, sprays to tackle invasives. It's one of the things we're trying, and so in 2 areas that were mostly junk, you put goats in, they eat everything, and it chews it down to sort of a bare minimum. Then you go back in and build back up your native structure, and it's a fairly effective method. So we're continuing with that this year. Last year, we had 2 locations, and depending on the town's budget, it'll depend on what we do next year, because pond dredging has to do with where our goats were, is one of the locations they are proposing to dump the silt from the pond dredging. And so if they do that there, we have to move them, and if they do, we would get approval from town of where to put that fencing, where to put the goats. So a few things up in the air, but the pond dredging did make it through the first round of budget season, so we're hoping that it does. It's been a really long time, and it's gonna revert to wetlands if it's not dredged, so. Town tree warden did get in last year and do a lot of dead tree removal. We had a lot of dead standing trees that they were able to get down. They felled them all on site. And so they're all resting, just down from where they were cut, which is good natural habitat. If there's too much, we take them and we split them for firewood, or we just remove them if we don't like the look of it. But it is good to have trees down just for habitat uses. So one thing we started this year with all our down trees is we started bundling and selling it at Walter Stewart's, just as a local wood source, and it stops us from chipping it and getting rid of it. So, and they've partnered with us to make a few bucks, and we noticed there's different companies that sell them, and that people were gravitating towards the Nature Center wood, which was just fun for me. So we were happy to do that. And we're going to expand that program, which is just a nice little story. The other big thing that happened was the land swap for a portion with First Presbyterian Church. And when I asked Doug about that, he was whether that was common knowledge, and he didn't seem.
No.
Right, and so I wanted just from where that all came up, that the First Presbyterian Church has a columbarium for remains, and they wanted to expand it. And it's in an area, as you're coming down the driveway, it's on the right. And it's a horseshoe of that. And so they wanted to expand it. And when they were doing that, they actually found that part of it was built on the Nature Center property, so the town park. So and the easiest thing to do was to do a little land swap, but give them a little bit more room. And then the Nature Center gained a little bit on the parking lot side of First Presbyterian, up by the northern section of the field, the big parking lot. And so if you're looking at that, it's on the north end, and we basically gained a 10-foot wide strip of trees that were a dumping ground anyway. So we were really excited to get control of that so we could manage that a little better. So that did happen, and we were happy to partner. It wasn't the Nature Center's decision. It was really between town and First Presbyterian, but we were supportive and worked with them to figure out a plan. I walked Doug over there, and right now, we cleared it because there was a bunch of junk, and town helped remove a bunch of tree of heavens. There's about 40 of them on the corner, and the town helped with that, which we were grateful for. And so just making that area nicer looking, removing invasives, and we're hoping a fence will go up in between. The church has expressed interest so that we all know where the line is, and also to discourage dumping. A lot of landscape companies would just pull up to the back of their lot and just dump all their junk. We've been dealing with that for years. I mean, our grounds and facilities directors pulled toilets and beer cans, I mean, all kinds of stuff just right along those woods. So we're hoping a fence will help with that a little bit. But right now it's really open, so it's discouraging the dumping. They put up some signs. So that was the land swap portion. Any question about the major stuff? Or Doug, did I miss anything that we talked about? But those are the major ones.
Are there any top, like 2 or 3 major projects, capital projects that you guys are looking at? I heard dredging of the pond and.
So my next slide has like from the town budget stuff.
Right.
That I'm gonna touch on. Anyway, those are our goats. They're fun. People visit them. And they do the amount of stuff they chew through in a short amount of time, I'm amazed their appetites. The bottom left is is right by the, up on top is the First Presbyterian parking lot. So that area right there is where all the Tree of Heavens went, and all that bank was just filled with junk that no one, any area you have where no one really knows whose land it is, just ends up getting neglected. So now we know, we have a line, and now each side can maintain it much better and it'll look much nicer. The right tree is a Tree of Heaven, and you can't really see on this picture, but it's covered with spotted lantern flies. Just as increased incentive to get rid of our Tree of Heavens, not only they're invasive, but they host those guys too. So we are committed to removing every Tree of Heaven that we can. They're just really hard to remove. Yeah.
So when you said that you were removing invasives
Yeah.
and planting
Yeah.
natives, it was specifically the Tree of Heavens, or it was also like the vines, bittersweet, like?
It's everything. Yeah, our land management plan is very extensive, and I've offered, I'm happy to share a copy of it, and it's, the full version is 82 pages. We have a shorter one that's only like 40 something, so. I'm really happy to share that. It details out species lists and each habitat, the best management practices and how to go about tackling all these things, and it's a really impressive document that we're really
Do
happy
you
about.
find that you are a resource for like the Conservancy and things like that when they were talking about doing invasive, removing invasives and rehabitat?
So every group, the pollinator pathway in town is a group that, the librarian, Conservancy and Nature Center and Land Trust and, town, Public Works is part of that, so, and the Conservation Commission. That group does get together and discuss, we bring education in and discuss these things, but we're a resource with each other too. And we all have different management strategies, so it all is gonna be a little different, but yes, we absolutely. And we want to share information and about, we're an education facility, so that's our mission.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the town stuff that ended up, creeping up in budgets. One, the urban community gardens that we had formerly, which was a sad, part of lead was found in our gardens. Those were, up top, near the old greenhouses. And lead was found and it was a lot. And so really all the plants had to be removed. Our herb garden was maintained for a very long time, like thousands of hours. And that was just unfortunate that went away, but there was nothing really to do about it. And then the community garden was there also. So right now it's just pretty much big gravel pads. And we're still just in the process of working with Tiger and Public Works and just figuring out what to do with that area. So that's just ongoing. I just wanted to update that there used to be a garden there. There isn't one, and we're working on next steps.
So are you reviewing the land?
The playground. If you're coming down the driveway, it's on the left of the rock house. Yeah, it's right there. And yeah, it was a beautiful, that was a beautiful garden, it was just sad. Yeah.
Are you removing the lead or what?
No, right now it's all, so it was all encapsulated, so it was landscape fabric and, gravel, and that was step one. A more permanent solution, you can do grass, but that comes with its own limitations, because if the grass rips up, then you have exposed lead. Or building something on there, so we had a lot of ideas kicking around, we're trying to figure out something, it's like the Mead Park. Garage, and John, you can jump in if I say anything that like the Mead Park garage came down, there were environmental hazards, but that's why there's a.
The pad stays where the
pad.
garage was on Richmond Hill.
Right, and that,
Similar type thing, this is now closed off.
yeah, you have to encapsulate it somehow, and one way is you can pave over it, there's a lot of different, things you can do, we're just working through them. Sure. Our preference would be there'd be beautiful gardens still there, but that's not an option, so. We're moving on to plan B. Pond dredging was definitely in there. We have two ponds. This is the closer one to the buildings. That's our Kiwanis Pond, and then we have our Marsh Pond in the back. Kiwanis Pond being the Kiwanis Club was instrumental in getting funds for that, for the original digging it as a man-made pond. But that needs to be dredged, and we're happy that that's moving forward. My presentations with town were from the Audubon House and Greenhouse. In the papers is the memo I sent to those boards, so that details that they are buildings that exist on town property. I don't know how much the Parks Commission really I don't know what they look to you for those buildings, but we are asking town to renovate or fix up the Audubon House or get rid of it. I mean, I'll show you a picture here. The picture on the right is the roof, that is like this now inside, so it needs to be removed or fixed up. So we have a grant with the state that we might find out in a week, that some miracle, we get money for it, otherwise, it's in the town budget's hands, and they'll either put money in to renovate it or remove it, so one of those two things will happen. And the greenhouses are our next biggest project, and it's just a greenhouse that doesn't function as it used to, and the temperature regulation systems are all shot, so we can't really have a growing program in there. And we are very interested in fundraising for that, and then working with town to get it fixed up for future uses. So as far as our major projects moving forward, from the grounds aspect, it's just continuing with our land management plan, removing invasives, restoring habitats, make it look nice, make it walkable for people. And then for major buildings, it's definitely the greenhouse and Audubon House are the big ones. The rest of them we're using for our programs, and they're good.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I got.
And just from a point, when Mrs. Bliss deeded the land to the town.
Yep.
Okay, and the town then took it on and owns the buildings and the properties that you say, furniture. If the nature center ever failed to exist or never, that would revert to us. Okay, so that's part of the reason we have this meeting every year, just to kind of have a quick snapshot. We hope that never, ever happens, and I don't think it ever will. But again, it's important that this body is aware of this.
Yeah, if we didn't exist, the town would still own that park, and
Yes.
I think we all like what's happening there.
Yeah, I
think it's
a
good.
phenomenal organization, and really appreciate the great job that you guys are doing.
Thanks.
You know, hope that these capital projects do get approved and move forward.
Yeah, and we work really well with, I mean, I've been the director now almost 7 years, and we've worked very well in town. And they, you know, we do as much as we can to maintain it, and then if we need help, you know, just this week, you know, we emailed and a tree was removed that was dying, and then the lawn got all dug up, and my email said, hey, can you guys help, you know, clean this up? I said, absolutely. So we have good communication, and, you know, at least I think it's going swimmingly, so hopefully you all do too.
Are there any questions for Bill?
Sounds great.
Bill, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem.
Doug, thank you so much for coordinating this as well.
Well, again, the tour, if you really want to get deep into it, that's the best place, and please take me up on that if you're interested.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda will be the Waveney Playground update with Donnie and Monica.
You want to go, or do you want to switch?
Or should we, can you go back?
Either way, it doesn't
okay.
matter.
It's up to you.
Bigger. We can go if you like.
Okay, so we'll do, but we'll take it, yeah, if you don't mind. Sure. You're on the agenda now. Okay.
Put up a PowerPoint.
Yep.
Come up here. So joining me tonight, I have Monica and Hillary, and then along with them two, Lindsay and Francesca are also part of the committee, so I'll be speaking on behalf for the first part, and then I'll turn it over to our fundraising crew here. So it's an exciting thing going, and we've been making a lot of progress.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, and I can say this, repeat this again, I'm here as a representative, not of town council. This is not in my taking, not my town council. Yeah, sure. This is not, I'm not here in my town council role. I'm here as a member of the fundraising group for the Waveney Park Playground. So I just wanted to get that on the record and clarify.
So just a refresher, if you turn to the next slide. So our overview, the town has an approved budget of $455,000. And we decided to break the project up into two phases. So the first phase is going to be the fitness area, and that will break ground spring/summer. And then we're going to do phase 2, which will be the playground, and that will be at a later date. We have a determined committee. We are meeting weekly and bi-weekly. And that committee will be carrying out all phases of the project. We've been going about picking some equipment and going about the surfacing and all the external materials that will be involved in the project. So along with that, we have a passionate fundraising committee, and they'll be in charge of community outreach, and their focus is inclusion. Our committee's goals is to promote health and recreational needs for all abilities, and still to create a top 100 playground in the United States. So that's the goal. And then if you switch to the next slide. So this is our current site. Again, it was built in 2011. And it is a fitness area, 60 by 60. All the equipment was fundraised and fundraised through donations. There are 12 structures. They're outdated and broken down. A lot of younger kids use them, so we're looking to build that playground and really make a name in Waveney Park. So the current materials are certified wood chips and plastic curbing. We're gonna branch away from that by using poured in place surface and granite curbing. This slide here is our survey, which was completed. And this is where we began in the end of September. This is our original site sketch. And then if you turn to the next slide, this is where we are now. So this is an example. We're still picking and choosing, plugging and chugging with the numbers. And so on the left-hand side there, that'll be your fitness area. We want to focus on separating the two. So the left-hand side is your fitness area and the right-hand side will be your playground. And the demographic for the playground will be ages 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. And the demographic for the fitness area will be ages 13 plus and all inclusive. This is a better visual of that same picture there. And to reiterate on the surfacing, we'll be using the poured in place rubber surfacing, which is the same at Mead Playground. It is #1 accessible. It is safe and durable, shock absorbent for fall protection. It's cost effective with low maintenance, and it has a much better aesthetic as opposed to the wood chips. So our plan is to use 2 different color schemes, and it's hard to see there, but we're going to use a leafy green for the playground and then a tan for the fitness area to differentiate the two. So as I mentioned, phase 1 will be the fitness area. And some equipment that's listed here is the Gladiator. That's one big structure. It has 12 stations, inclusive equipment, and the equipment will be installed throughout the area. And we're trying to utilize the space to make it most efficient as, so the Thrive 250 is one structure with 6 stations on it. So we want to prioritize on using 12 stations, which are currently there, and we want to match that. So we're not taking any equipment away, and we'll be having 12 stations again. And it also includes instructional signs and step-by-step online workout plans. So this is the Gladiator, and it won't be that color scheme. It'll be a dark green, browns, grays, something that will blend in nice with the area. And the Thrive 250 is the bigger component within that fitness area. So as I mentioned, it has 6 stations. It's multifunctional muscle groups. It includes a sign that features instructions and workouts. And our plan is to add a QR code that will link you into a big workout plan that they have online on their website. So it gives you step-by-step directions and good workout plans. So those are just some example pictures on the left-hand side of the equipment. And then phase 2 will be the playground. So some ideas that we have, it's not set in stone, but our big component is the campaigner. We have some Zip Track, Vista Star, Kinetic Swirl, Melody Chimes, Cantana Chimes, Tri Runner, and a swing set. at this point, I know these like the back of my hand, the names of them all and. Well, so this is a campaigner here. As I mentioned, it's not set in stone, but along that ramp, we're gonna have some sensory objects for, those who would like to use sensory objects, and that utilizes the space very well. So. Some more ideas. These are the pictures of the names that I had mentioned. So one big feature is the zip track. The bottom right-hand corner there is the Vista Star, and that's similar to what's at Mead Park now. And I've been hearing really great things, and I know the committee has said the same thing, so we're still chipping away at that.
The zip track goes in both directions, right?
Correct. Mhm. And they have handicap accessible seats as well that we're looking to include, so.
And the top left is also at Mead.
Yes, the top left is your kinetic swirl, and that's also at Mead, so, and then the middle there are some chimes. And the top right is also it's like a spinning structure, so, and of course you have to have your swing sets, because everyone loves swing sets, so. And then the next couple slides will show you a 3D visual of what we're kind of working on right now. It's not set in stone, like I said, so it gives you a good idea of what can be there and what we're gonna utilize that space with, so. Some slides. And then just to finish everything off, we'd like to include some tables and benches within the site. It'll probably be on the grassy area, that way we can utilize the poured-in-place surface with equipment only, and make sure those fall zones are safe, so no one's lifting benches and putting them underneath or anything like that. So those benches will be anchored in, same with the tables, and no one will be able to move them back and forth, so. And then the final slide is just a little recap of what I just mentioned. So phase one, we'll be working on the fitness area. Phase two will be finalizing the playground materials, continuing with the design phase. And then the final square that I have there is fundraising, which is ongoing, and planting new trees within the site, selecting and installing benches and tables, and of course, to promote health, wellness, and recreational wealth for those who visit Waveney Park. And then I'm just gonna pass it on to our fundraising committee, but before then, does anyone have any questions for me? Yes, Hank?
You have a number of questions, if you don't mind. The fitness equipment, the prior fitness equipment was not very resilient. Is this fitness equipment of, maybe stronger, better quality?
Yes, so with our experience, the playground equipment company that we selected is the same as Mead Park's bigger fitness area or playground, and it's very durable. There's been no complaints in comparison to a couple of the others. We've noticed some have broken down. The one that's up there now has a wood center to it, so these will be aluminum, which will have a longer life cycle.
The ETA, for the public, are they both the same ETA, or is one going to be there before the other?
The fitness area will be there before the playground, but we won't remove anything that's currently there until we're in the building phase of the fitness area. So the fitness area that's currently there will be there until we're in the building phase for the playground.
What will the difference be in time, do you think?
I can't give you a final answer on that, but it's looking like another year is with the grant cycle, which I'm sure they'll go into.
I think we should probably answer that too when we, if you have any questions about the fundraising aspect. I mean, I think that's
That's
something.
gonna drive that.
That's the
Yeah,
key.
the fundraising is really gonna drive the completion date.
And it's just a first question, the Mead playground area has sort of also become a picnic area. Will this be the same? I mean, are people going to be encouraged to bring sandwiches and?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a concession stand here where there is at Mead. But as far as sports go, softball, baseball, it's constantly going on, the summer camps. So it's just gonna be a great focal point for those camps and for those who visit their brother and sister as they're playing sports. So
Does that create a trash problem at all?
Right. No, yes, yes. it does. That's what the parks department's for and,
With that said, in our proposed budget request that's in front of the selectmen now, we've asked for some money for overtime to have somebody come in early and pick up litter and Dunning, 2 water tower fields and Mead Park daily, 7 days a week during the main playing season. We've added Mead Park in there because we'll have enough time to do it, but we're mainly, it's the athletic fields where there can be a lot of trash.
So it will go also into this fitness and playground area?
We-
That's the hope?
That would be the hope.
That's the hope.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, what we proposed wouldn't include that because we're not there yet.
Presently, there are just the dumpsters that are
Correct.
far.
And that's what we'll probably keep there. We'll probably stay with the carry and carry out policy.
In the parking lot where the ice rink is, right? Are there
There's a-
dumpsters there?
There's one dumpster there that's for the fields in that area, yes.
Fine, John, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, well done.
From a fundraising standpoint, where are the things,
Well, I mean, so I guess today. We haven't officially launched our fundraising campaign. We're just here more than anything to formally introduce ourselves. I think the last time that we presented, you just saw me. I didn't have co-chairs yet. No, there's 3 of us. It's Hillary Ormond and Lauren Connolly Nussbaum, who's not here today. But there are 3 co-chairs. We're officially called Friends of Waverly Playground. We're establishing our fund, similar to me, you know, sort of the same process. We will establish a fund at the community foundation, and they will act as the steward of our funds. They will be our administrator, which is great because it really allows us to focus on, you know, the hard work of fundraising. And it also adds a layer of transparency that we feel is really important for the community. I think it, you know, it only adds to the integrity of the type of fundraising that we're doing and the kinds of dollars that we're asking for when we say things like, we don't touch a dollar. It all goes directly to the community foundation and they then handle the funds for us. And we receive regular reports from them as far as, you know, have we met our goal? You know, what our abilities are with respect to fundraising. Another thing that they do is they make sure that we follow the rules and regulations set forth by the IRS that are specific to 501c3s. So any of our events, fundraising or otherwise, will always go through the community foundation and will be approved and vetted by them before we launch. And by launch, I mean the smaller sort of fund. If we have a party that's going to raise money via ticket prices or auction items, you know, there's the larger campaign where we say, here we are. And then there are the smaller sort of fundraising campaigns where we try to raise some of the bigger dollars that aren't like bricks, for example. We will sell bricks as well.
Right.
You know, part of the reason why there's so much uncertainty for us right now is because I sort of liken it to moving the Titanic. There are so many, I mean, and, you know, and Francesca will tell that this is kind of how it works. It seems as though it just takes such a long amount of time, but rest assured, we are meeting every week for a minimum of an hour at a time. And there is just so much that goes into this, so much thought, so much care, so much work and time and effort and community feedback as well. The reason why we're giving you sort of samples and ideas as opposed to saying this is set in stone is because part of we feel our mission is to make sure that we are representing the All Abilities community as best we can. So what we did with Mead last time was we convened a panel of community members that have kids who have extra support needs, what we would call the special needs community. And we just want to make sure that when we're showing them some of the ideas that we have for this equipment, does this speak to you and your family? Is this something that resonates? And if it's not, well, what would that look like? And we try to develop some kind of a consensus. There's always going to be compromises that need to be made, but you know, it's a really great information exchange, and it really helps us sort of hone in on that particular demographic and make sure that this is something that speaks to those community members and their families as well. So that has not been done yet. And we couldn't do that because we didn't have the survey. We didn't really know how much land space we were working with. And now that we have a better idea of some of those, you know, third-party sketches and things like that we were waiting on, we can sort of now take ourselves to the next step, which is narrowing down on what pieces speak to the community. And then after that, it's, well, how much do they cost, right? So once we present to the community and we say, to this demographic of the larger community, the special needs community, let's say, okay, what speaks to you? And then we go and we say, okay, we know what speaks to the community. We have this wish list. Now, what can we afford? What can we reasonably fundraise for? What is absolutely out of the question? Because some of these items are really expensive, and it's unfortunate, and I'd say this as one of these moms myself, anything that is earmarked for what is called the so-called special needs community, automatically the price tag, it's like, well, how much does the photographer cost for a wedding? And how much does your photographer cost to just show up at your house and take pictures of your kids? As soon as you say the word wedding, you know, that there's a whole different skill set that's involved with that. And so to sort of boil it down to layman's terms, I like to make sure that I get those points across so that people who aren't in the regular business of building playgrounds like we are, understand that this is how the process works.
Okay, great. Well, I really appreciate you guys doing, and I think it's important, because obviously we're behind where we really would like to be.
Sure.
It's right by fault of nobody, okay?
Mhm.
So anything we as a commission will do to help you guys move the ball down the
Right.
field rapidly, we would love to do that.
Well, that's the next thing I wanted to speak to is that, again, you know, referencing the Titanic. The way that we raised last time for me was through grants. Now, the grant cycle is a cycle that's laid out in advance. It's very specific to the certain dates of the calendar. The cycle starts in fall and the grants are issued in spring. So unfortunately, we've missed the last grant cycle. And we would have to wait until the next one, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it gives us time to really get this community feedback and get all the, you know, the proverbial ducks in a row. But for me, for example, it represented such a big chunk of our fundraising. And it was a relatively, I don't want to say easy because it's not easy to fill out these applications and it's not easy to go on interviews, but you know, to get, I think we got $52,000 for a $52,000 chunk of money. It's really hard to leave that on the table. And I've found that most of these organizations really want to participate in the process. The Community Foundation is one of the pillars of, you know, philanthropy in our community. And so they want the opportunity to be able to participate in a project like this. So I just think that in order to really get this done and to build some of these, you know, magical, I call it selling dreams, right? We're selling a dream here. So in order to really sell this dream, it's really important, in my experience, to have as much buy-in as possible, not just from the people who are going to use it, but from fundraisers and donors as well. So it's, anyway, that's a really long way of saying that I really think that for us to leave the grant money on the table would make our job that much harder and would also leave out some important organizations who would really want to participate in this as well.
Do you have any kind of a ballpark number? And I'm not going to hold you to this, what kind of money you have to raise? I mean, just if you had to take a guesstimate.
I mean, it really depends on what our wish list ends up being, but we're
Right.
talking about several $100,000. So to bring it back to Mead again, which is a completely different project and which is smaller than this.
Right.
So our goal was 150 and I raised 205. So the goal is to have, I would say we have to raise at least that much, the 200, let's say 205, and maybe even more. It sounds like a daunting number, but I also thought that about Mead and I gave us 6 to 8 months to do it and we did it in 4 and we raised over. I think what part of the reason too, why doing this in phases, I understand the need to get shovels in the ground, but it's a lot easier to sell, I don't want to say the word sell, but it's a lot easier to sell the community at large, donors, anyone on this idea of this grand scheme versus just throwing something in there just to get us started and then maybe adding pieces piecemeal. You know, I understand that we have a budget and we could probably put something there, but it wouldn't be anything close to what you just saw.
Right.
It would sort of be like a womp womp moment. And I just don't know that the response from the community would be as robust as it could be if you did something like you did at me.
Okay.
I just think it's a missed opportunity.
And remember, Ryan wants to be in the top 100 playgrounds.
Right.
Not be in the top 100 playgrounds.
That
Yeah.
was the question I had. Is there one in particular that we could look up that has grabbed your attention? One of these top 100?
Absolutely, we could discuss that tomorrow in the committee meeting. I have some lists.
Okay.
And now it's important to remember too, that this seed was planted by the company that's selling us the equipment. You know, they had said, like, based on what Ryan was looking at, they're like, well, based on what you're looking at and the plans and the samples that you're giving us, like, this could definitely qualify as one of the top 100. And this is a company that really knows, as you know, it's game time again. I mean, their product really speaks for itself. The life cycle of most of these, well, the life cycle of Mead previous incarnation before our group came in was, they said somewhere around 15 years. When I came in there, it was 20 years old, and it wasn't falling apart. I mean, it definitely needed to be replaced, but there wasn't a sense of urgency where people were going to get hurt.
Right.
So it held up really, really well. And then, as you know, too, we have the toddler area, which is not the same manufacturer, and it's not holding up as well as the game time equipment.
There's no comparison.
Right.
For us maintaining it.
Right.
Game time by far.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know.
Would agree. Unless-
And you'll pay a
There's maintenance
premium
with
for that.
everything, but
Just, you know, as you'll pay a premium for that, but we as a group are willing to raise the money. We feel that strongly about the product, that we're willing to raise the money to cover that premium. It just makes sense. We feel like it's in terms of, you know, being fiscally responsible or having a fiduciary responsibility to our donors.
Right.
We'd rather put in equipment that we absolutely know is gonna be there for the next 20 years. Come and look at your brick for the next 15 years or so, or 20 years. It's gonna be there and, you know, you'll take
So
your
what
credit.
do you need us to do? Are we to vote on something? about
No,
that?
no, this is.
I think this is more presentation than
This
anything else.
playground was approved a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I
And,
thought maybe splitting it into two things.
no, I think it was the whole thing was the exercise pavilion, because I remember voting on, I think it was Ron who was the chair at that time.
Mhm.
So, you know, we can, anything we can do to support you, let us know. Like
We
you
can
said,
come
I'm
back,
glad that
too.
you guys
Anytime
are
you have
moving the ball down the field,
Yeah.
because sometimes these projects can get watered down, you know
Right.
what I mean? And, that's great that we can start in the fitness center this spring or summer,
Mm-hmm.
and then hopefully have a playground there by next year. for Ryan.
Mhm.
we'll be coming back with a detailed plan of the fitness center as we finalize the prices. And then we have to go through the board of selectmen for purchase.
Right.
Like shooting rates, but
Exactly.
you'll have. more
Sounds exciting. Good job.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
Got
you.
along. Thank you.
Exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're very excited. It's gonna be great. And Ryan and John, John. You're my close friend. John. You know, but so John and I are old friends, but like Ryan is really, I mean, the
very hard.
meetings,
Yeah.
he really does. We come to these meetings and it's really all laid out. I mean, you can see, you know,
Right.
the presentation that he put forward, that's how much effort he puts into all of our meetings. It's been great.
It's the emails that I get that he sends at 9:00 at night. Stuff like that. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow morning, Ryan. We can talk about it then.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
Thank
a
you
great
again.
campaign.
Yeah.
I think,
Thank you.
So,
Mead Park has like set the.
It really
the
did.
groundwork for us, and I think Monica in particular has a lot of credibility in the space
yeah.
to raise
An
the
excellent
money, and I
presentation.
think it's going to be gangbusters.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
We really will, I mean, I hope that we've proved that before, but we really will put together a space that will blow everyone away. Like, I can assure you that. You know, I talk to John about this and I say this to Ryan all the time. I say, remember, I have to run into these people in the grocery store.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
in my best interest and her best interest and Lauren's best interest to make sure that we put forth, I mean, not just because our kids are gonna use it, but just there's a sense of pride that I feel like Mead is my baby. And so there's a certain sense of pride that we all take in the work that we do. And
Okay.
so it will show.
Great.
It'll show.
Right.
We'll get it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Doug, welcome. Graduate training. This is the proposal for the Pops in the Park concert in Whately for Sunday, June 9th. which I think this will be the third year, is that
It
correct?
will be the third year, yep.
Yep. So welcome.
Thank you. And thank you all for all your support for the first two concerts, which I think have been great successes so far. We want to kind of build on that. We had an initial kickoff meeting with John and Dee at the end of November and kind of went through, where we were, recap from our June concert and then what we want to do for this summer. I hope some of you guys made it to the concert. It was a beautiful night. We had a great crowd and a great show. We enhanced the sound system, which we talked about, and I think it made a big difference. Which we'll do the same thing this year. We'll tweak it a little bit. I think we'll always do kind of tweaking to enhance, but yeah, it was, it went well. Everything went according to plan, I think, as far as parking and trash removal, the lavatories, et cetera, et cetera. I think everything went to plan. So I don't think we'll do anything different there. Let's see. So we'll do the same weekend as last year. It'll be Sunday, June 9th, with 6 to 8, with a backup date a week later. So we're still trying to catch everything before they take off, pre break for school, and try to keep as many New Canaan families as possible. Give them the option to join us. The concert, the theme, Sandra's not here tonight. The symphony is putting on Music Band on Saturday, so she's very busy getting ready for that. But we're going to do a Broadway Lights theme, which will be should be great fun. And it should be a good follow up to the Hollywood Lights, and Jonathan, who's the music director for the symphony, is working on the program, and we don't know. I'm not sure we may have some singers accompanying the symphony. I'm not quite sure on that one yet. But it should be a great evening, and I think the only thing that we were going to request that was different or more was, so last year, so it's a pre-concert, and we, to kind of track sales, we do the Eventbrite, and we sold out a week before. It was 1,500 last year, then 1,200 the first year. And what we'd like to do, we sold out a week beforehand, so we kind of wanted to do 1,800. This year, we didn't have any issues with parking last year, and we'll be diligent. The Slavs guys were awesome last year, and Matt Campbell coordinates it all. We rope off all of the, all down the line and make sure that no cars are on the grass. Maybe we might have a couple here or there, but it's always worked out quite well. So we think we can handle that, and we'd like to grow it a bit. And there's plenty of room back behind the house, right. So we think we can do it. And, yeah.
What do you think, John?
We're getting to the end, as far as space for car parking is the worst part. Because most people don't want to walk from the high school to places like that. Right. Yeah, that becomes the issue.
We had a conflict with something that was happening at the Tower House, I think, didn't we? Or did we change the?
What was that the year before? I'm not sure.
There was no conflict this time.
I don't know the powerhouse schedule. Offhand, that doesn't fall into our schedule. They do their own thing, but we could easily inform of what could keep going on here. I don't know if they've set their schedule yet.
Don, when you include the parking in your count, are you including that upper newish parking lot that's kind of by the turf fields, but is just adjacent to the apple orchard, which is closer?
The one near Tiger's Trail.
Yeah.
That one. As far as parking count, no, not necessarily, but people do park over there.
Just because I was thinking when you're talking proximity, that is closer, but it's additional space.
Yeah, it's just in general, it's a general comment, people don't like to walk. They might be going to take a walk, but they're still gonna park the closest to the trains. You know, they go to play soccer, they play the goal that's closest to the parking lot, that kind of stuff. But with that said, we get into, you know, we can only take so many cars. We take a lot more cars, like for July 4th. Where we estimate last year, probably 7,500 people came to the 4th of July fireworks. But at that time of the year, we put parking on the fields themselves. And we can't do that on a regular basis.
So I guess my question in terms of just the parking and all of that is, I don't know exactly how this works, but if you're doing Eventbrite and people are purchasing, and let's say 2,000 people purchased, right? Like, and they all wanted to come. But we had.
They closed it off, and then they weren't really purchasing. It was
No,
a free
it was a
event.
free
but it's
event,
just
but they purchased the ability to like come in.
Sort of.
But, so you close the park entrances entirely? No.
We only close the park one day a year. Unless there's a natural disaster, and that's for the 4th of July fireworks.
So what is closed that prohibits additional people from coming? Like in terms of setting your.
They can't reserve.
We,
When they go to get a ticket, it says it's sold out.
But they're not like getting a parking space when they're getting a
No.
ticket.
No.
So like, I guess I'm just a little confused. It feels like, why do we even have to say that we would be limiting this?
well, because we just, all of a sudden, what if we have 5,000 people coming? We have no place for them to park. And then it becomes a problem. So working with them, we came up with numbers to try to stick to, so that it wouldn't be out of control. Because if all of a sudden, last year was a gorgeous day, but all of a sudden we have that perfect weather day that everybody wants to come, and we have 5,000 people show up. We have a major mess, because they will just start parking on the grass here, there, and everywhere, and.
But in short, it's just a way to discourage people from coming.
Exactly.
If you go check it out and it says sold out, you
But
might
you
stay.
can still show up.
Right, right.
Nobody's gonna stop you.
The park's still open to the public.
And if New Canaan people show up at the end,
Yeah. And people
What is
who
actually
may
our
have
parking
heard about
capacity?
it, to walk their dog, right?
Right.
You know,
Right, yeah, you have to get other reasons.
What is the parking capacity?
I don't know.
no, if you had the high school, it could be really hot.
Well, I mean, so you have like the,
Yeah,
well, I'm just thinking like between the pool, the paddle, the parking that's here at Lappin, you know, like.
and that's part of the problem. Those things are still open. Dog park's still open. The pool is open. You know, just people coming to the park and walk.
Right.
So that's the one reason why I think we should keep limiting it. With that said, I think we could try 1,800. And we'll have a good idea whether, okay, that's the limit, or next year we better go backwards. That's all. So,
Now, the pool closes, typically it's 7:30 on Sunday, right? So the pool will be closed before the concert is over.
Mhm.
Are there any further questions for Doug?
Sounds great, looking forward to it.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you for just a second. Doug, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
He's got it.
Okay, so, okay, Doug, thanks so much.
Thank you,
Sorry
George.
to
Thank
invite-
you all. Really
No
appreciate your
problem.
support.
That's fine, thank you. So next on the agenda will be John.
good. So, first thing I want to start with, I met with a, Rick McNutt, pickleball player. And his thought and idea, and he thinks he has a lot of other people, that we should look at putting 4 pickleball courts in Waveney Park for a number of reasons. It's very popular. Our 5 courts are going to be busy during the season and everything else. We briefly looked at an area. This just happened. For size wise, we think we could fit them in, and there need to be more research. Near the paddle court. In the grass area, basically between the roadway, the dog park, and the paddle courts in that area. But I just want to throw it out there that what we're seeing is pickleball is not going away.
Right.
So, and it might be, you know, if we ever do have the new picnic area installed by the paddle court, so maybe a possible another paddle court, this would be possibly be a great place to do it. The other thing that would be nice, having pickleball courts in Waveney, there's no noise complaints.
Right.
Right.
And we could put lights on.
Yep.
You know, we had people last summer playing at 5:30 in the morning down at Deep Park and had to start locking the courts. And so I'm just, you know, there's a little bit of thought process there. We're gonna keep investigating this further.
Sure.
Sounds great.
So,
All in.
yeah. And with that, I had my liaison committee meeting for the budgets with the Board of Finance, 2 people from the Board of Finance, 2 people from the town council today. And it came up in conversation there, and part of the conversation was the fact that if you charge more, I bet people would pay it to help support building the pickleball courts. So we're gonna look at it a lot of different ways, but nothing's in place right now.
Right. Sure.
So, and that budget meeting went fine. Very quick hour, we moved on from there. So, on other notes, the last session and before and after school programs, registration is in the process of opening. We're planning on having almost sold out events again at the 3 elementary schools. Zach ran a mystery dinner event with actors that came into Waveney, which sold out very quickly. Went very well. We had our father-daughter dance last weekend, and this is where our self-sustaining fund worked well, because it sold out in no time, and we were able to add a second seating per se,
Really?
which also sold out.
That's so cool.
So, and then with that said, they had one the same night at the country club.
Really?
So
What's the age group?
It's like, I think it's like 7 to 12. No, 4 to 12. So it's like
horrible.
Yeah.
Did you guys split it where it was a younger and then an older? Is that how you did it?
no, because we sold out the first one, and then it was a matter of, okay, all these people on the waiting list. Oh my God.
Did it as a reaction, right?
I don't know.
I think they might have, that it was so sold out that then they were offering it, you know, to,
Okay,
I think.
don't know. So that was very
So,
successful.
you know, a lot of really unhappy people with when it sold out so quickly. And we panicked, and then Zach said, I think we can do it, and
Yep.
we did.
With the self-sustaining fund, we were able to get approval through the finance department, and we did it, so it's good. Of course, we're in the process of planning for summer camps. Last year, we had 100 kids per session. We're going to 120. So that's up from 60 just a couple of years ago. So we expect that to be well received. If you know anybody that wants a lifeguard, it's time. We're interviewing for lifeguards, so it's always good. And of course, paddle tennis is continuing.
Are you looking for lifeguards both for the pool and for Kiwanis?
Yes.
Okay.
So, with the not, well, maybe normal winter, with the winter, the way it's been weather-wise, the guys have been out, they've been out clearing leaves. Today, they did a lot of dormant overseeding, which might seem crazy, but it's a great time to get seed down.
Right.
And that will come up early in the spring. And they've been working on our bench refurbishment program, where they bring in the wooden benches from all over the parks and all over town, and pressure wash them, let them drain and dry out, and then
Terrific.
put on a treatment on top of that. So
So are the new benches, did they get out of customs yet?
They're here.
I'm glad you said something. Yes, the benchmarks came. One of them wasn't, the one that's going way behind the house, the ground is too soft to take it out there, so we unloaded it along the roadway. So just on the other side of the roadway there, one was there.
The access road?
On the main road, the Lapham entrance,
Oh,
along the trees there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Doug has a photo of it.
Yeah. I on my computer. But I liked it.
Yeah, have a lot of one.
And the other ones down in the Jenny and Meadow, that, neither one of them were exactly in their place yet. Small issue with the diagram they gave for the footings, flip flop, so it's being corrected. So yes, they're here.
so
It's really, question on Spencer's Run, the condition of it right now, which obviously with the rain, the dogs and everybody there. Any plans to in the spring to
It
try
just
to?
comes back to the same thing. Our only real option would be to close it.
Yeah.
You know, to keep it closed in a period of time like this.
can't put a fence in a circle around the muddy area.
Just create a different worn area.
It
Yeah,
will,
it does.
but then you
It's-
open that and it
Yeah,
all
it's just-
blends.
Unfortunately, when grass isn't growing and there's constant traffic, if the people would step off, if their dogs would stay on it. We'd be in better shape, but
Yeah.
there's no growth and there's a lot of usage, so.
Because all that great work we did,
Yep. Yep,
yeah,
we're back to square one.
square one, and because we talk to people, say, how do we think about closing dark? Oh,
Everything we hear is nobody wants it closed. They'd rather stand in mud
right,
than to have it closed.
right,
There's people that go there 3 times a day.
yes.
Snow cover would have been nice.
Yeah.
So frozen ground, if we could have had the month of January frozen solid, that would help.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the last thing I have is just, the color drop's gonna be March 23rd. Now, the color drop, buy your golf balls for the New Canaan Scholarship Fund. And come watch and see me drop golf balls out of the helicopter. I'll try to stay in the helicopter while we do it.
Don't hit it, don't hit it, yeah,
The 23rd.
Okay.
okay, excellent.
You know, they've changed the format. You can win a truck.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, that's it.
Hey, John, are there any questions for John? Okay, well, John, thank you everything you guys are doing. Just regarding my report, I've got a few items. First, Lindsay here has been nice enough to chair what we, be a code to put together a, code of conduct policy for the town parks, okay? Hank and Doug have nicely offered to be on that committee. This is something that we have not had, and the code of conduct is more about, general behavior, okay? They'll obviously run the draft by us. We need to run it by the attorneys, the board select, all that kind of stuff, okay? Would there be anybody else like to join this committee with Lindsay? Okay. Couple ones, and
I might be able to, but right now I've got the knee thing going, so I'm a little bit hesitant to say, yes, me.
no problem, okay. Well, Lindsay, let us know how we can help you. Whenever you have your first meetings, you can kind of CC myself and John, keep us in the loop on that one. That would be great. We really appreciate you guys doing this. Doug has done some research on this, and there are other towns that have such policies too, so hopefully it won't be too cumbersome. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. But I think over the years, there have been issues with like loud music, alcohol, that kind of stuff that we probably.
Just an incident with some language.
And language, thank you. Yeah.
People.
Language, yeah. So I think to have something particularly that, if, Ryan or Zach is in the park and they see something, they can say, this is the code of conduct policy. If we're in the park and we see something, we can do that as well.
Great.
Okay, so I think this is great. Secondly, social media. If you all get any comment or complaint from a resident in town, or even a non-resident, please direct them towards the appropriate party, John, okay? There's some concerns that if we get into a social media chat, okay, that may have further liabilities for us as a town, okay? And so we ask you to respectfully submit any questions or concerns to John, particularly to avoid a kind of a social media type of situation like a LinkedIn or a Twitter and that nature. Okay, thank you. And then our next meeting will be on March 13th.
Right.
Right. Okay. And we look forward to that. Because we had a full agenda tonight, we'll have the Athletic Foundation come and talk to us and give us a yearly update next month. I know that Kim, you've got something with help me.
Disc golf.
Thank you. Disc golf. Okay. A few other items, so we appreciate it. Is there any comments from the floor from the general public? No. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? Lindsay, thank you. Second. Francesca, thank you. All those in favor? Awesome job. Take care. Yep, good job.